Medium Coffee. I'm your host, Marissa Lowen. I have my cup. It is also another handmade cup. Unfortunately, the maker doesn't make cups anymore, so you can only ooh and ah my amazing 20-ounce cup, but you can't get it for yourself. It's an exclusive edition. But I am ready here to talk to Hazel June, who is a course creation strategist. Now, Hazel, I'm excited to talk about courses because I love e-learning. I have been creating e-learning even in my corporate days. Actually, that was how I got started in one of my careers was creating online learning for adults. So I've
Love it.
come a long way since I started doing that in 2006. Woo.
Wow.
Yeah, the tools are better, the the access, and we know a lot more about how adults are learning and how
Right.
they can take information. So I'm excited. Why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us about what you do.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Marissa. So, yes, my name is Hazel June. I'm an online course strategist, which basically means that I help my clients create courses. I've dabbled on the different sides or aspects of the entire course creation game. And then what I found is that I thrive more on course content itself, the curriculum development part of it.
Yeah.
That's where I enjoy doing or helping my clients the most.
Yeah, and what about it? Like what gets you excited about it?
Because I have, well, my corporate background is on training and development. And most of the time, what I do is I facilitate training sessions, workshops, and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I want to play around with the delivery of the content. Like I would, whenever I would facilitate a training session, like there's in corporate, we have like a facilitator guide that
Yeah.
you have to like, follow, and I rarely follow those facilitator guides. I
Absolutely.
what I usually do is I what I would do is depending on the mood of the learners, depending on the topic that we have for the day, I would switch things around, make it more
Mhm.
fun because I love game-based online learning,
Mhm.
game-based learning, and yeah, that's what I really love doing, playing with the content and how it's being delivered to really maximize the retention and the learning.
And this gets me excited because you mentioned, the mood of the learner, and you start to, when
Yeah.
you're in person, you can do that. You can kind of assess like, who do I have in the room? But when you look
Right.
at an online course, it seems kind of daunting when we're like, oh my gosh, how do I build a course that can be adaptable for different ways of learning, different moods, all of those
Yes.
kind of things that take into account. So how do you look at that?
So yeah, for online courses, because it's recorded, it's pre-recorded, most of the time. It's pre-recorded, so it's a whole lot more challenging than in person. But what we can do is really, well, first of all, for my clients, what I normally recommend is to deliver the training live the first time, at least for the first
Mhm.
few um runs of
Yeah.
the online course, just so you get to know your students more that way.
Hmm.
Plus you also see content gaps here and there based on
Yeah.
their feedback, based on the questions that they normally ask. You get to identify the common frequently asked questions, and so you'll be able to fill in the gaps as you go, as you iterate your course, after launch. But if you're doing like the pre-recorded stuff, then what I would suggest is really dive into your ideal student avatar, and then
Hmm.
make sure you're addressing the different types of learners,
Hmm.
by making sure that you have different media formats for on how you deliver the content. Some learners, well, some students love visual,
Hmm.
some people love watching the videos, others just want to listen to it, and then others thrive more on the actual doing. And so I always like advise my clients to make it action based or outcome
Hmm.
based,
Oh, yeah.
um, to make sure that we drive implementation all throughout the course content.
I love that. So what does that look like? If someone's like, okay, I think I understand what outcome or action base is, but can you give us an example?
Yeah, sure. So, you know how these courses, they have the actual content, and then they're gonna tell you, what the core content is all about. They're gonna explain. They have these videos and stuff like that. But at the end of it, there's nothing that they would ask you to do after. Like, there's no action step. And
Right.
so it's more on just the consumption. And you probably know this, that consuming content is a whole lot different from implementing the
Implementing.
content. Yeah.
Yes.
So I always include like an action step
Yeah.
after each lesson. It could be as simple as reflect on whatever it is that you've learned, or it could be as actionable as, create your Facebook page, or whatever the outcome um, might be, depending on your course topic. What I found though is that most courses, they only have this, what's your biggest takeaway, and though it's good, you don't want to do that for every single lesson, um, because it's just, it's not just about what your key takeaway is, but more importantly, what is your key takeaway that you're going to apply right after watching the lesson.
I love that. I'm building a course right now, and
Yeah.
it's about selling before, during, and after events. And one of the things I was just thinking, I was like, and I'm glad you just said this, because you just validated me, which I love. Is I was like, okay, well, maybe what I can do is after each lesson is kind of like, okay, enter in an example of what that would look like in your business, like the exact, and being able to do that step by step, so that they can actually have a plan at the end of the course as well. Like,
Right.
they really don't have to then go at the end and go, okay, now what's all the stuff I learned? How do I build my action plan? They actually have the action plan built as they go through the consumption. So I like that, because then they can also go back if they skip a section, they'll
Yeah.
know, right? Because they're like, wait, I'm missing something. I'm missing a step. So that's cool. And the other thing too I like is like quizzes and like little tiny tests. And I know some people get test anxiety, so it doesn't work for everybody, but it also just allows me to be like, did I actually consume the content, or did I just run through the words?
Right. Yeah. So there are, well, for as far as quizzes or tests are concerned, or assessments, it does help in terms of retention, because then it allows you to remember, from a
Yes.
student's perspective, it allows you to remember,
Fun. Yeah.
um yeah, if you really did understand whatever it is that was, being taught in the video. And then from a course creator standpoint, you would know if you were able to hit the core or the key points during the actual video, if you were able to make it stick.
Hmm.
Because if they don't remember, if they got it wrong, that means that you need to like dig deeper on that.
Yeah, that's just something that I don't think we talk enough about, is actually the feedback that a course creator gets. It shouldn't just be like a one and done. Like, I created this course and I never
Yeah.
change it ever again. Is being able to create opportunities where you can see how people are consuming the content, are they retaining it, and having quizzes that you can see the results allows you to see that. If there's a gap, like you said, in that content,
Right.
you'd be able to kind of get that feedback without asking them directly, because there's a challenge when we do focus groups afterwards, is they'll either tell you what they think you want to hear, or they'll just be like, here's some high level stuff, but they've actually retained other things. So if you can create these opportunities to get feedback for yourself without directly asking them, you're going to create a better course.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that point, because what I always say is that a course is always a work in progress. It's like marriage. You always have to work on it. If you really want to build, or if you really want your students to be successful, not just your current students, but the incoming students, it would be really great to have these feedback and insights from your current students, so you can iterate the course, launch after launch. And one of the things that I recommend and I do for clients is that I create like a self-reporting tool, where it's just it's a fancy name for student surveys or student feedback forms. So what I
Mm-hmm.
do is that, like, after each milestone, how when we create a course outline or a curriculum, we have these milestones that they need to to
Mm-hmm.
accomplish. And so after each milestone, I would love to get feedback on, one, what the challenges are that they've
Mm-hmm.
encountered as they implement that particular, action steps. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
those particular action steps. And then what they liked about the particular module. And then I also want to look at, were they able to implement the action steps, yes or no, or and if not, what was the challenge? Because that's gonna help you get insights on the gaps that you can probably fill in, or other things that need more deep dive on. And
Yeah.
then also, I would like to insert a question that asks them, are they willing to recommend, based on their overall experience, are they willing to recommend blank course creator to their friends and family, um, and then get their feedback, because that's one way for you to also measure their satisfaction based on the
Mhm.
their experience.
Yeah, I love that. And it also, you can add in questions like, how do you see yourself using the information that you've learned in this course in your life and business? And the idea behind that is not only do they get to, kind of cement it in, be like, yes, this is how I'm going to use it, but then you also get marketing knowledge
Yeah.
that you can use to market your course, because you can actually see real time how people are planning to implement it, which means that you can go and share that and put that out. You don't have to put like person's name, but it's like, one of my students is creating this in their blah 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 business, right? And it's like, or this person, opportunities, and you don't have to say my student, you can just say some of my students are using this to
Yeah.
do this, and it allows people to identify whether that course is applicable for them.
Yeah, 100%. That's also one of the things that one of the objectives of that self-reporting tool of the student feedback form that I was talking about earlier, not just to get insights from the students, but also use that as you can get snippets of testimonials and success stories from those survey answers. And I love that you pointed out about how they're able to implement that in their own life or
Mhm.
business, depending on what the course topic is about. Because
Mhm.
one of the characteristics of an adult learner is that they are able to, for them to actually resonate with whatever you're teaching, we need to like relate that to their current experience or
Mhm.
whatever they've experienced in. There needs to be that connection.
Mhm.
um and with those insights that you'll be able to get from those, student feedback forms, you'll be able to like iterate your course content and then use those experiences that they've shared when you introduce the content. And so they're more inclined to hear and learn whatever it is that you're teaching.
I love that. Now, one of the things you mentioned at the beginning too is that you like including gamification, which I think
Yeah.
is great as well. I always laugh because I'm famous for not finishing courses. I will do them all and then I get like distracted. I have ADHD, so there is some excuse, but my husband was the same. So we actually took this course. He's by Ramit Sethi, and it's called the Finisher's Formula. And I always laugh because we did not finish it. And so one of the things I thought that was missing was gamification of it. Like it was just really missing that kind of reward, or that, how do I do that? So what are some examples of gamification, like your favorite examples of gamification that you've seen used in courses?
So some of the gamification that's available right now needs some technology for you to be able to like implement them, like bonus points, leaderboards, point tracking, the little what do you call this, confetti that you get after you
Yeah.
complete a certain thing, the progress tracker, because that gives you that dopamine rush that you have completed or accomplished something. But if you want to do some low tech gamification thing, what you can do is have or create your own challenge leaderboard using spreadsheets or Google Sheets. And then you can have your students enter their points as they complete a particular task or a particular lesson. Another thing that I love to implement, and this is one thing that one of my clients did, is that we have like because it's a 30-day thing. And
Yeah.
so every day there's like a quick content and then an action step right after. And we use Facebook group for that. And then there's always like, if we get say for instance, if we get 50 students to implement this or comment whatever it is that they need to implement, then you're gonna get this bonus lesson.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love it for a few things. I mean, one, if you're doing this or if you're doing this like in a group, say, like you don't necessarily have a group for the course, but you have a group for your brand. Not
Yeah.
only, not only are they showing other people who haven't yet bought it that it's available and that it's fun to do, but you are getting them to do the things publicly and you're getting them to implement, and you get to it gives you a reason too to create more content. Sometimes we're just like, I gotta add more things to it, but then when you see people using it, it gives you that feedback. I love what you said about the leaderboards. I know that there are some language learning apps. I think it's like Duolingo maybe uses it, but it's like you're like, oh my gosh, Paul R has finished more courses than I am. I have to go finish this one right now because I want to be the number one. Even though these people will never know who you are, it's like, it's just this little kind of internal, like, I have to be the best.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. I love collaboration and a little bit competition when it comes to learning, because it does drive people to take action and
Yeah.
engage and interact with one another. Yeah.
No, I love that. That gives me great ideas. Oh, this is a good interview. It's going to help me become a better course creator. So, what are the other things that you think, like, I think, like everybody's creating a course nowadays. What are the things you think most people are missing in their course creation?
One of the things that I feel most aspiring course creators are either missing or skipping is content validation or course validation. Like, they get so excited. You know how this passive income lingo in marketing, and so they feel that if they create a course, then passive income is gonna start.
Yeah.
They're gonna
Where's my
have that.
course? Where's my
I've
money?
yeah, I've been in that. I've been in that experience before, where I'm so hooked into the passive income thing
Yes.
until I realize it really is not that passive. Well,
No.
there are some things that you can do, but um one of the things that most aspiring course creators skip is that they spend all these weeks and months creating, recording, writing content without validating first if it's something that people love and buy. Um,
Mm.
and so, what I normally like recommend with my clients and do with my clients is that we validate. First of all, we want to validate marketability, profitability, and then efficacy of the training program. So what we do is you want to do market research, and there's a bunch of different ways to actually go about market research, just so if there's enough people who are already buying the course
Mm.
topic that that you are trying to create. It could be books on Amazon, or different videos on YouTube, or the engagement conversations on Facebook groups. So there's a lot of different ways to actually do that. Second is to validate profitability, and that means selling the course before you actually create it. Um, because one of the things you don't want to do is spend so much time recording 10 videos, and it takes time to actually record those videos, especially if you're a
Mhm.
perfectionist. But um yeah, and so you want to create, or you want to sell your course idea first to validate if people are actually not only interested, but they're also willing to pay for it. And then
Mhm.
lastly is to validate the efficacy of the content. And you can do that by delivering the training, at least the initial cohort, live.
Mhm.
Not only do you have a more or higher perceived value for your offer, it
Mhm.
also makes it more engaging, and all of the things that we've talked about earlier, where you get student feedback, you get Q&As, you get insights as to you're able to identify trends and content gaps and stuff like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. Okay, I also said this. Now everybody's creating a course. Should everybody create a course?
Well, it depends on your objective. So for you to be able to really maximize the course, what I personally believe is that make sure that you already have a framework that works. And the easiest way to, and of course, audience to sell it to. And one of the best ways to get started, because there are people who would love to create a course right off the bat.
Yes.
And that's good. Um, uh, if you have the time and the resources to actually make it happen, right?
Yeah.
But the easiest way or the easiest path to create a course is to sell it one on one first.
Mm.
Like, do, I don't know, done for you services, consulting work, just
Mm-hmm.
to test the offer out. See
Mm-hmm.
if you're able to give people results with,
Mm-hmm.
your own blueprint, your own framework, your own process. And from
Mm-hmm.
there, then you can slowly like ascend your offer into maybe a group coaching program, a live training session, and then you morph that into or convert that into an online course, because
Mm-hmm.
now you know that that offer works because you've
Yeah.
already sold it. Second, your process works because you've gotten people results. Third,
Mm-hmm.
you already have testimonials that you can
Mm-hmm.
use for your marketing and for your launch.
I love that. Now, we talked about last week with another guest about beta pricing. How do
Mhm.
you feel about it?
I'm not a fan of the word beta, because personally it has gotten this negative connotation that it's not, it's not that good because it's in beta. The
Oh, okay.
quality is not good because it's in beta. Um, and then most people have this perceived misconception that beta is always free, when you can do free
Oh,
beta, you can always do paid beta, right?
yeah, okay.
But most people think that it's free because it's beta, because it's not
Okay.
done yet. And so instead of using the lingo beta, what I normally recommend is use a different lingo, maybe a live workshop, a live boot camp, a live um, group training program,
Okay.
or initial cohort, founding members, those lingo. But yeah, the main purpose of that is to have a higher perceived value, because it's not overused. At least the lingo is not overused yet. And then when it comes to pricing, because it's the initial cohort,
Mm.
I normally recommend like 50%
Mhm.
of 50% discount of the actual course. And then you can actually charge as much as $500 for the initial cohort.
Mhm.
And then you can sell it at 997 after launch. And one of your selling points is being the course being delivered live, which means you get you get more interaction with the course creator, you get more feedback, you get more engagement from the students, and then from the students standpoint, they get more access to the course
Right.
creator, in comparison to other 997 2497 courses out there where you rarely gets access to course creator.
I love it. Okay, so one of the things that we were talking about earlier is you're a business owner. You run your own business. You used to be in corporate. Same. But what was the reason why you switched from corporate to running your own business?
So I've been in corporate for over 10 years,
Mhm.
and I've been ever since, because I was doing this like side gig before, where I write articles. And
Mhm.
one of the articles I was assigned to was to create an ebook similar to Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Okay.
And that's where I got introduced to online businesses, because I didn't know online businesses like exist before. Like this thing that we have now
Yeah.
exists before. And so that's where I got introduced to this passive income streams, this online entrepreneurship and stuff like that.
Okay.
And from there, I started researching. I did side gigs and stuff like that. And then it came to a point where I really want to start working from home, like full time,
Mhm.
because I would want to spend more time with my son. Because ever since I gave birth to him, I rarely like I miss a lot of his early years. Like, I
Mhm.
can't believe he's turning 10 now, and I missed a lot of that childhood. And it's a painful process where I had to work um I had to work at night, and we have to leave him in his grandmom's house, and he
Mhm.
would cry.
Aw.
um and we would only have him during the weekends, because both my then partner, my ex partner, um, we were both working, and so we don't have, the ability to take care of him during the weekdays when we're working.
Hmm.
And so we only get him during the weekends. And that's a tough position to be in,
It is.
as a parent, especially as a mom. And so when I discovered that I can work from home and I can have my online business and work anytime I want to, that's when I really said I would want to like switch full time to my online business.
So you just kind of walk me through your day. Like, so, because you aren't doing courses for people anymore, you're actually helping them create their own course, but they do the work. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I used to do done for you services. Now I just launched an offer, a program where I'm gonna do it with them. It's like a
Yeah.
VIP offer thing. Um, so yeah,
So
I
how does
still
that
do
work?
have. Yeah,
I'm
I'm
just
sorry. I
curious,
still do
how does
have
that
like
work?
retainer clients with done for you service.
Okay. But how does
Yeah.
that work? So like in your day? Because well, your son's probably at school, I guess now it being 10. But, do you find that you have more time for family?
Yes, he's homeschooled.
Oh,
Yeah. So I homeschool him. I'm really not a fan of traditional education. So I I like tweak the curriculum, and then it's more activity based. So
yeah.
I don't like lectures and lessons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, and he doesn't pay attention anyway. I mean, his his attention span is
Yeah.
so short.
Yeah.
So I have to make sure that he's constantly doing something, and so I would have him do activity books and stuff like that. So he's homeschooled. Um, and I'm in the Philippines, which means that I normally work late night.
Right.
Um, yeah, so then what I do is I'm awake the whole day, and then I sleep, late afternoon, early evening, up until midnight. Um, and then I start
Right.
working for clients after that. And then daytime is all about homeschooling, household management, and stuff like that.
It's one of the things that I'm most interested when we think about a global economy because it allows people really to build, like, especially when you're on opposite sides of the world. Like, I sleep very weird times too. And so, like, I have a lot of like UK clients because I'm like awake when they're awake.
Yeah.
And so it works really well, right? And now I'm like I have a few Australian clients now. But it works too because like I'm most productive actually when they're awake. And so it's been really
Mm.
interesting to see kind of even my own, I'm allowed to kind of sleep when I want to sleep and allowed to,
Yeah.
do the activities that I want to do because I'm working later at night or early in the morning, right? And it just allows me to kind of do that a shift. So I think that's really interesting how we'll see people's work. I don't want to say work-life balance because I don't think there's ever really a
Yeah.
balance, but that ability to kind of create your own schedule as opposed to being in someone's version of 9 to 5, which is what we were in like corporate. I interviewed with a guy once and he was like an online job.
Yeah.
And but I was like 2 hours behind where he was based. And he said, work-life balance is really important to me. I want everybody to stop work at 4 p.m. And I would be doing like the marketing for his company. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And I will definitely be there for any client calls. I'm like, but honestly, my most creative time is like 7 p.m. to midnight. And so that's probably when I'll do the majority of the coursework or the marketing work for the clients, but it will be ready for everybody on time
Right.
based on those timelines. And he's like, no, that doesn't work for me. Work-life balance. And I was like, your balance, not mine. And I was like, well, I mean, what's the difference? And he couldn't explain it, but he was like, no, everyone just has to shut off their computer at 4 p.m. and enjoy their life. I'm like, I want to enjoy my life between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. I want to go out when the sun is out. I'm in Canada. We don't always have sun during the winter. I'm like, I want to go out when the sun is out, not necessarily at night,
Yeah.
or when everybody else is. I want to go to the grocery store when there's nobody at the grocery store. before. So I love hearing this, like how, so that really fits with your schedule then. So then you can work and still be there, but still get sleep.
Yeah,
Sleep's important.
for
So,
sure.
so you have this VIP or this like you're doing basically like you sit with a person and you go through what they want to create and then help them figure out the modules and all that. Is that what you do?
Yes. So we spend a day. We will spend a day. So it's something that it's new, and I'm testing the entire structure. And well, everything is actually all like set up and stuff. But the actual day of the VIP, we're gonna sit down, and then we're gonna create whatever content you need created for your course. And beforehand, you would have to like. There's several things that I ask them to actually like what your priorities are. So it's
Yeah.
either we're gonna create your frameworks, and we're gonna create your workbooks. We're gonna create and outline your curriculum. We're gonna go create key points or talking points for your videos. It could be a student roadmap to make it less overwhelming for your students. Could be anything that you need help with. Whatever it is that's preventing you to launch that first or next course, that's what we're going to be working on.
Cool. How do they sign up for that?
So go to my website, it's hazeljune.com, and then there's a tab that says work with me, and that's basically where you get all of the information.
Cool. I love that. Okay, now I ask everybody this. What is one obstacle that you have in growing your own business right now?
So I would say the biggest challenge would be my self-doubt.
Oh,
Um, yeah, so I always have people think that I'm confident because the way I speak, but because but it's something that it's a skill that I've learned over time.
okay.
Because I had to speak in front of the public when I facilitate training and stuff like that, and I
Yes.
have to sound confident to make them
Yes.
feel that I know what I'm talking about. So
Yes.
it's a skill that I've learned over time. And so, but the inner game, it's something that I really like started honing on. I think it was last year when I started really diving deep on mindset and personal development, just to address that self-doubt. This imposter syndrome, like who am I to actually help clients with this? Like what have I accomplished in my own business that that would make me not feel fake when
Right.
helping these clients or giving this advice, or making these recommendations and stuff like that. So it's always a constant battle between um that self-doubt and what I can do. And I'm just so happy that I have like a supportive um people around me that pushes me to become the next level of myself, and keeping me accountable and believing in me when I can't believe in myself.
Now, I've said this before. I'm extremely excited when people have self-doubt and imposter syndrome, particularly in a business, particularly those questions that you actually just said, because that's the perfect sales page for your product. Who am I to even do this for people? Yeah, tell people exactly where you're like, I've been doing this for 10 years. I've been doing like, here's the process I went to in order to become a really great facilitator. Even what you were saying about learning those skills of sounding confident when you're going through the material, even if you're going through the material the first time, I mean, I've been there. The first time I'm like literally standing up there going, this is what you're going to do next. And I'm like, I don't know. I've never, and by the 30th time that somebody has broken something, you're
Yeah.
like, I know exactly how to fix this. Let me show you. But that takes skill in order to be able to get there. I would put that right on a sales page, because that's going to help people not only see that you went through a similar process, but that you know how to go through that and to create those skills for you. And what was the second self-doubt that you said?
I completely forgot.
Well, yeah,
um
like skills. It's like, well, here's the skills I
yeah,
know, and here's the process I
self-confidence.
do, right? And I mean, those are the questions that people are asking. Like, how do I know that this person's legit? How do I know this person? And it sounds like self-doubt, but I'm like, it's your intuition helping you build the most amazing sales page, because you're going to answer all of their objections to buying with you because you've
Right.
gone through that. But then it also is that reaffirming, like you said, you have to go through and be like, no, actually, I do know my stuff. Like, what am I doing here? Guessing or not putting out that product or not putting out that course because I think I don't know what I'm doing. Answer it. Like, do you know what you're doing? How do you know what you're doing? How will they know you know what you're doing? And then put that on that sales page. So I'm the weirdo over there that gets excited when people are like, I have imposter syndrome. I'm like, yes, we're about to just create the most amazing sales page and funnel and marketing strategy because
Yeah.
you've already tuned into the same questions that your clients and your customers are going to be asking anyways. So instead of worrying about it, prove it.
Love it. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, those are great, like key structures on a sales page. Address objections of the students for sure. Never
Yeah.
thought of it that way though.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm the weirdo over here that's like excited about these kind of like, I'm like, fears. You have fears? Yes. Like, let's do it. Okay. So what is an opportunity that you have in your business?
The opportunity I have in my business is that they will be able to get their course content done in one day instead of waiting for weeks or months before they actually start launching their course and get some money.
And how is that an opportunity for you?
Well, it's something that I love doing, and it's also something that I love doing with my dream clients, which are female entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
because I'm all about women empowerment. Because I feel like
Mhm.
this business is all about male dominance and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
so I want to be able to help women who are growing both babies and businesses at the same time, because it's not a easy job. And so I would want to help them make an impact. I always have this mantra of helping people or changing lives one course at a time,
Mhm.
because that's something that I help my clients do
Mhm.
by helping them create the courses that's going to impact lives. It's not just to make money, but to really help people out.
I think this new method that you're working with people too is going to help people become stronger in their business and for creating courses, because what happens is, like, if I said to you, okay, here's all of my content, build the course for me. I don't really know what content I need to be looking for. I don't know what kind of gaps there are. But if I sit down with you and you walk me through and we do that roadmap or we do like the construction of it, I then get to be like, I start to like integrate that into my brain. And for even the next course, not just the one I'm working on with you, but the next course, I start to say, okay, wait, this is actually a really good piece that would help people learn how to do X better. And so they would be able to grab that. And so whether they're updating a current course that they have or creating that new course, they're going to start to create better content because
Yeah.
you've already walked them through and supported them and really helped. You did a facilitation with them. You actually helped them learn how to be better course creators, which helps them become just better business people because they're building better things to put out there. That was I said the word better 30,000 times, but I think I do think this is an awesome opportunity for you to help people just be able to look at their business in a new way and to be able to realize that things that they do, because I do this, I work with clients and then I go, wait, I think I can put this into a course, right?
Right.
But I already have that background as a facilitator. Not everybody does, right? And even me, even though I've done a facilitator, working with someone like you is even better because I get to sharpen my skills. I get to see what else is new out there. Your job is to know exactly how to gamify. Your job is to know how to help people retain that knowledge. That not necessarily is my job because I'm out there doing something else.
Right. Absolutely. 100%. Totally. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
I love that. So that's an awesome opportunity. I'm excited for you to offer this. And I know that people who are going to see this are going to be like, wait a second, like, why am I doing this on my own and trying to put out like crappy courses? Like, I want better courses. I go on some of these like learning sites and it pains me because I'm like, they're literally just recording videos.
Yeah. I've had my fair share of those crappy courses myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
and it's like we're
time.
missing something, right? And people are
Yeah.
taking them and they're missing like huge sections of things that could be possible for them because the course just isn't built properly.
Right. Or even the quality, just the quality of the audio isn't that good too. Like, how the hell are you going to understand whatever is being taught if the audio is not that good, right? So little
Oh,
things like
I'm
that.
obsessed with audio. Like when you said perfectionism, I will take like 50 different recordings because if like even my neighbor's dog starts barking or like all of that
Yeah.
effect, it just stops, especially with people like I have ADHD. So I could be right into the content and then I hear like a screaming child in the background and it might only have been an instant, but then I'm done. Right. And then I will stop the audio and then I go on and I won't ever come back. And it's just because that one little piece of, impacted the way I was consuming the content. And it might not be important to some people, but I will tell you, you want people to finish your courses. You want people to go through because then they're going to implement it. They're going to tell other people, which allows you to increase your business.
Right, absolutely. Student success is one of the things that I always like prioritize in terms of creating courses, because the profitability of your course really comes down to referrals, repeat business, and retention. If
Mm.
you have all those three, then you'll be able to like really monetize your online course and then ascend them to maybe your higher priced online programs.
Yeah, or the next course. Some people just
Right.
do courses, and that's okay too. I mean, I'll say this 1,000 times. It still costs you less, and it's less work to sell to people again instead of always trying to get new, 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 new. And that's where I think we've seen in the online business is that we've seen people that just churn stuff out, and they're constantly putting out something new, and it's
Yeah.
like okay, what's going on there, right? Because they're not, and there you don't see the testimonials, you don't see the people, talking about it and referring to it because they didn't put the work in to actually create a good course. It was just something they put out there really quickly, never went back to. And we don't need more noise. We don't need more clutter. We don't need more people. Like build good courses, everyone. That's do yourself and your clients a favor, build good courses.
Build better courses. Absolutely. Yes.
So what's your favorite tools for building a course? I know there's a bazillion
Um,
of
yeah, there's a lot of out there. What I normally use for clients is Kajabi,
Okay.
primarily because they have a mobile app.
Ah,
Because modern learners now are mobile learners, and the app, although it doesn't look really good on iOS, but it does look good on Android. Um,
oh,
yeah, and so the app really does make a whole lot difference in terms of helping people learn on the go. So Kajabi is the most platform that I use for clients. Although I'm also looking at, I haven't really used it, but I'm looking at LearnDash,
mm,
because they just have more robust features in terms of learning analytics and adding
yeah.
those gamification points and stuff like that. Yeah.
They've been doing it for a while. So like they
Yeah.
have like that's one of the oldies, the originals. So yeah, I know I'm looking too because I use Simplero and it's okay, but I love these more robust platforms because like you said, like the gamification, the different kinds of validation that's out there, the quizzes, those kind of things. I kind of want it all built into the same system. So if you like something, slide it over to me and I'll do vice
I
versa.
sure
And
will.
or we'll come back and we'll have another we'll debate all of the different learning management systems out there. And that's, I think it pays to look for the one that works not only for you as the course creator, but for your audience, because other people will learn in different ways too. Yeah, I know some people that hated taking courses on Kajabi, and it's just their learning style. So it's accessibility. That's the thing is we also have to think about is these accessibility, allowing people to consume their content. My first course that I put out, I spent all this time putting together these videos, and it has the ability that you can just download the audio as a podcast. Like you just click podcast. 97% of the participants downloaded it as a podcast. I was like, man, I spent a lot of time with those videos.
Yeah,
Right?
that's also the reason why I recommend delivering the course live the first time, because
Yeah.
then you would know what your students need, and for whatever the students need, you will be able to find a platform that matches whatever it is that your students need and whatever it is that you need as a course creator, instead of starting with the tech, building it all up, and
Yeah.
then knowing at the end that it's something that doesn't work for you and your students.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good. I mean, now it's been 8 years, I think, almost, but like, like now there's a fair even mix, but I'm like, I could have launched this just as a podcast, got the feedback, then, like you said, then spent the time creating the videos, right?
Yeah.
And it was really interesting to see like what was missing in the gap. So mind the gap, build good courses, get feedback. Anything else you want people to know before we sign off today?
Yes, always put your students front and center of your courses. Kind of like I always like compare course creation with marketing. So, in marketing, you always want to focus on your ideal client avatar.
Yep.
Same with courses, you want to focus on your ideal student profile. Because with that, not only does it help you with your marketing, it also helps you decide the delivery that fits your students, the type of content that they need, and help them become successful with your course.
Great advice. I love this. Well, I think everybody now knows, so like, okay, marking down Hazel as a must-have in your business. I actually looked up when I first posted on Facebook, the number was like 354 billion, but then I Googled again, like the actual worth. It's estimated to be over $457 billion industry by 2026. Which is
Wow.
only 5 years from now. So when we think about that, when we think about how do you set yourself apart as a business owner, I can see a course being definitely something that's valuable to people. 454 or $57 billion industry in 5 years.
Lots of opportunities out there for sure.
Yeah, and not just for like online business people, jewelry designers, pottery, like all of those things have the capacity where you can walk people through things that were, again, with the pandemic, we've seen not everybody's
Yes.
going to want to go to a classroom. So being able to recreate these capabilities that you might have done in person, and being able to create this really amazing, diverse, interactive, gamified experience is going to set your business apart and be very unique.
Yeah, for sure. And you can also make yourself different by just creating better courses, because we know there's a lot of crappy courses out there. So just create better courses. That's going to set you apart from all the other aspiring course creators too.
I love that. I love that so much. Well, I want to thank you very much for our time together. I hope you come back. Let's have more conversations about good courses. And I also would love to talk to you a bit more about how you look at marketing courses, because I think that'd be interesting to see it from your standpoint too. So I hope you do come back to Big Questions Medium Coffee. Thank you very much, everyone. You just go to hazeljune.com. Go see how you can get one of these amazing VIP days where you can plan out. I mean, I already can see it in my head. I'm like, okay, when am I going to have time for this? Because even though, like I said, I've been doing it, I want to work with someone that knows it better than I do.
Thank you for having Marissa. It's so much fun to chat with you.
All right, I'm going to end the live stream. Thanks, everybody, for joining. And we'll see you again tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern for Big Questions Medium Coffee.